The Maltese Falcon is a 1941 film noir directed by visionary auteur John Huston. The film follows the story of private investigator Sam Spade, played by Humphrey Bogart, who becomes entangled in the pursuit of a mysterious golden artifact alongside his client, Bridget O'Shaughnessy, and three eccentric criminals. Huston's careful approach to this critically acclaimed picture has engendered prominent discussions surrounding the complexities of human nature exposed in the film and how such observations are raised politically. As such, this video essay will attempt to weigh up these discussions. Specifically, the first section will elaborate on the terminology of film noir and how this intertwines with Machiavellian thought, the political framework for this video essay. The second section will focus on how corruption is handled in the Maltese Falcon, and what implications this has for civil society. Film noir discourse is often characterised on conceptions of mystery, cynicism, and ambiguity, and how such conceptions are exposed within a society corrupted by avarice and distrust. It attempts to observe the human condition as futile and bereft of any common morality, and that this sense of foreboding never really departs from the film regardless of its conclusion. Dashiell Hammett's bold writing approach in the original book, The Maltese Falcon, helped pedestal the central theme of film noir itself, asserting that agents as units of analysis are the primary mediators of such discourse and not the plot itself. In other words, it's the actors, or the characters, and their actions which are of more interest here. As such, the conceptions and characteristics that we find in film noir are also prevalently reflective in Machiavellian thought. To some, Machiavelli is seen as an anomaly in political theory, and particularly within academic circles, his writings are seen as rather cryptic, contrary to its political usage today, in which the term Machiavellian has become a pejorative word. Order! In actuality, there is a paradoxical dichotomy in his writings between not only how to ascertain and maintain power for one's own sake, usually through immoral and pragmatic ways, as established in his 1532 book, The Prince, but also how civic republics should be governed under a collective social context, as praised in Discourses on Livy. The aim of this video essay attempts to fuse this conflicted dichotomy observed in both film noir and Machiavelli's writings, and to assess how this is portrayed in The Maltese Falcon. Specifically, I will seek to answer two prevailing questions. 1. How is the problem of corruption handled? And 2. How does this implicate civil society? By utilising the characters of the movie as the most significant units of analysis. To begin asserting the notions of corruption and civil society, it's firstly important to analyse the symbolism that the Maltese Falcon undertakes. The start of the film begins with an opening text crawl. In 1539, the Knight Templars of Malta paid tribute to Charles V of Spain by sending him a golden falcon encrusted from beak to claw with rarest jewels. But pirates seized the galley carrying this priceless token, and the fate of the Maltese Falcon remains a mystery to this day. The exposition highlighted here seemingly produces a prevalent metaphor for the film itself. Spade, Archer, and the prevailing detectives are symbolised as the Maltese Templars who remain loyal to the sovereign, the Republic of San Francisco, through their tribute of servitude. Linking to Machiavelli, Republic in this context implies a well-functioning, stable society, and we get a feel for this during the opening when we see shots of the gorgeous San Francisco city skyline and chirpy music playing alongside. The pirates are depicted as O'Shaughnessy and her accomplices, and Gutman and his associates, and they act as these foreign nomadic entities seeking to infiltrate the rules of this republic by voiding any sense of loyalty. The Falcon itself therefore symbolises loyalty and civil society, but is hence subjective to the corruption by the pirates. Sam Spade, the central character in the Maltese Falcon, attempts to handle such corruption through the ability to method act alongside the corrupted. This renders the impression that Spade is perceived as some form of anti-hero throughout the picture, only for this perception to be overturned at the film's conclusion. His seemingly moral duty as a private investigator entails him to elicit the role of someone else who may be attracted to corruption, and by doing so he can ultimately infiltrate the agents who are willing to compromise the civil order through greed, deceit, and corruption. An example of such method acting is when Spade enacts a convincing tantrum in Gutman's hotel room after what Gutman states is the hardly equitable exchange of information regarding the Black Bird, in other words, the Falcon. Knowing Gutman principles himself on corruption and avarice, albeit cautious in his ways, Spade's tantrum is an attempt to make Gutman underestimate him and use him as a tool for manipulation and bargaining power. Furthermore, Spade also attempts to make Gutman think that he is corruptible by wanting to ascertain the Falcon, or if not, is certainly motivated by avarice itself. If successful, Spade can clearly collate this information and initiate justice appropriately. Think of it as an undercover spy or a double agent. So what this attempts to extrapolate is Spade's ability to put on the appearance of Machiavelli's vice in order to pursue a goal of virtue. The reason why Spade acts as an immoral, distrustful agent, to which the audience questions until the last few moments of the film, is to unveil the notion that he is publicly dutiful to bring those to justice. In the film's conclusion, it shows that Spade prioritises loyalty and restoration of trust to society over his own personal motives. He could have certainly pursued the Falcon alongside Gutman, but for him this was a red herring. The corrupted were his motivations, and he completes his duty by exposing them in the Civil Republic of San Francisco. But what film noir, and specifically the Maltese Falcon, tries to present here is the ambiguity surrounding Spade. Is he therefore privately immoral and distrustful, yet publicly loyal? If so, how does society retain its trust when there are outliers susceptible of changing this? Within any well-functioning polity, particularly a republic, you need to be assured that what people are saying is also reflective in their thinking. The paradox shown in the Maltese Falcon is that the condition of a virtuous polity built on trust necessarily entails the possibility of vice and corruption. If you have a society in which people cannot trust each other, then you've undermined the whole basis of sociality. So how does Spade remain accountable? Well, if we go back to Machiavelli, he takes a departure from The Prince and in his following work, The Discourses on Livy, tries to solve the paradoxical problem of virtue and its implications for a potentially corrupt society, forming through individualism and sectarianism. It is the role of a collective or social polity that would regulate such corruption. As stated, Spade devotes an allegiance to his republic regardless of his private imperfections. While he has a clear dislike for his partner Archer, as shown by the lack of emotion after his death, as well as having an affair with his wife, Spade affirms this allegiance to O'Shaughnessy in his apartment.
When a man's partner is killed, he's supposed to do something about it. It doesn't make any difference what you thought of him. He was your partner and you're supposed to do something about it.
This is the first time Spade truly reveals a part of himself to a bemused and hysterical O'Shaughnessy, who refuses the fact that Spade will turn her into the very authorities that once had suspicion on him.
You're not...
Yes, Angel, I'm going to send you over. The chances are you'll get off with life. That means if you're a good girl, you'll be out in 20 years. I'll be waiting for you.
Don't say that even in fun. Oh, I was frightened for a minute. I really thought... You do such wild and unpredictable things.
While he may or may not love O'Shaughnessy, he is not only fulfilling a duty to the public good, but also lays to rest O'Shaughnessy's distrustful disposition, preventing any future blackmail. Rooting back to symbolism, the Falcon also seems to represent Spade's search for the truth. But ultimately, not all can be trusted. We never actually see the Falcon, so we never can verify Spade's love for O'Shaughnessy. Humphrey Bogart's immensely ambiguous approach to Spade is what makes his character so alluring, and by doing so highlights the pure essence of film noir. To downplay this ambiguity would only render confusion for the genre itself. Huston knows that humans are imperfect, and he exposes this through the constraints of a society where humans are internally conflicted from either doing the public good or revelling in personal gain. Spade does good things, but he comes about it in immoral ways. There are other times when he is just objectively cold and deviant. The Maltese Falcon emboldens such deviancy as the emotional behaviours of our characters are often coveted, heightening the ambiguity that inundates the film noir genre. Whether it's Spade's affair with Archer's wife, being sexually exploited by O'Shaughnessy, or Cairo's plausible homosexuality, this remains ambivalent throughout the movie. It seemingly indicates, as Machiavelli's Prince would suggest, that one must always be wary of trusting another. This links back to the paradox of how well-functioning societies can exist when there is still the probability of vice and corruption. It requires people like Spade and their ability to method act to help regulate such actions. They may flirt around the confines of the law, but their conscious commitment to honour and public duty inevitably provides the antidote to those who truly are corrupted and self-interested. In conclusion, the Maltese Falcon exposes that human corruption spurred on by avarice undermines the basis of society. It is the actions of people like Spade who garner a degree of trust from the corrupted through method acting to only use it against them afterwards. Overtrusting can therefore act as a deterrent in civil society. But what film noir tells us is that whatever the outcomes might be, there will always be malignancy and ambiguity within civil society regardless if we can sense it.